I'm holding up to the promise that I made with you guys that we're going to deep dive Brashard Smith at least every other week, looking at his routes, snaps, advanced metrics, so we can identify when to pick him up, when he could potentially splash in the Chiefs offense, since he's been getting a lot of work, a lot of talk, a lot of buzz, and a lot of work with the first team of the Chiefs during training camp. Before we dig in with today's deep dive, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing deep dives every day, as many players as possible, so you know the news, facts, data about those players, so you can pick them up, drop them, start them, sit them, whatever you need to do with that player, with that situation. Also, we go deeper on the waiver wire with coverage than anywhere else. Any fantasy football website, any channel on YouTube, it's all right here. We help you set your lineups by ranking the players and looking at every single game, every single week for the whole season. Click that button. Stop missing out. Brashard Smith, though, going back to previous, there was a lot of buzz that he was going to get more work. That obviously didn't happen. What's in the news headlines right now, he's been dealing with an illness. Back during the last time we were looking at him, people were looking at him getting more opportunity in the offense, potentially being an upside play in fantasy football. Prior to that, he was a stash in drafts, a late round dart throw. He's still a dart throw in fantasy football, but now it's much more strategic now that we got bye weeks and injuries to factor in. But the ramp up didn't happen. Week 5 only saw a 9% snap share and 3 targets. Week 6 saw a 9% snap share and 4 targets. One thing you can say, since week 4, we have seen more work, more opportunities in the passing game. 4 targets in week 4, 3 targets in week 5, 4 targets in week 6. Something's coming to a head. Rashee Rice is back. They are trying to get him involved, but that might be a step up to like a 15% target share and just 6 targets or something like that. But we are getting that workload. We are getting opportunities, just not enough for us to spring for him unless we're getting him as a lottery ticket right now. And everybody's comparing him to Jerick McKinnon. We actually called the Jerick McKinnon breakout. And that's why we're monitoring this, because what we noticed out of Jerick McKinnon was the routes increasing and them increasing sharply. And that's why we're watching Brashard Smith every single week. That's why I promised you guys that we're going to run this video back every other week. At least is going to be huge for the gadget player of the Chiefs. And when that happened, the workload spiked up. Jerick McKinnon was a league winner. He was getting some work prior to that, but he also wasn't a rookie. But you saw the jump up. He won a lot of fantasy leagues, and it could be something like that. It just jumps up week 13 or 14, and he hits the ground hard. It could be something like that. It could be in 2026, and you get a chart like this. It could be 2027, but we're going to do this every other week to keep you updated. When the routes increased, the snaps increased, Jerick McKinnon's production increased because he was getting work in the passing game. He was their gadget player. Now you're seeing a little bit of a bump up, but not enough. Not enough for you to go all in. His biggest game was week 4 with 10 routes. That's okay. We'll keep paying attention to him. He was getting run with the first team back in training camp and preseason. That's why we're excited about him. They're excited about him. He's a late rounder. He's more of a gadget player than straight up running back. That's something to note. He's going to get work in the passing game. He's highly athletic. He's a very skilled wide receiver because he was a top tier wide receiver in his recruiting class back in 2021. Getting looks from Alabama, Auburn, 30 offers. That's a lot of offers for a wide receiver, especially where he was ranked at 29th among wide receivers, 35th in the composite. There's some upside to his game. Almost went to Florida, but went to Miami. This is a very decorated recruit at wide receiver, and we were a wide receiver at Miami, also getting carries out of the backfield. So it wasn't like we were a jabroni and had to transfer to SMU. We were actually a skilled prospect, but we wanted more. We needed more to eat to get to the next level. We got our opportunity at SMU, switched to running back, 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns later, and we're with the Chiefs. On top of that, yards after contact per attempt, 3.34, 52 missed tackles, a 71-yard run, 35 carries of 10-plus yards or more. This guy was racking it up. We can get Yak, 8.1 yards after the catch per reception last year at running back. 13.4 as a freshman was our highest, but still, the speed and explosiveness is there, along with dominance. Dominance running the football and dominance in the receiving game. 91 yards against Central Connecticut, 90 against Vatech, 90 against North Carolina, 76 through the air against Virginia Tech, 66 against Cal, and then we're hanging up 100-yard games in droves here. Florida State, TCU, Boston College, Clemson. Just getting it done. This is a very good running back prospect here. 4.31, 40-yard dash, 5'10", 194. Explosive. Fell to the 7th round. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. Light it up with his route running. This is a running back that's different. He's a gadget player. So he's not going to straight up get the running back looks unless something happens. And we're going to dig in more with that because we're looking at Isiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. They're not exactly getting it done. They got to go to the wide receivers more than the running backs in this offense. They can't lean on these running backs. They're not efficient. Brashard Smith is raw. How can they keep the run game going deep into the season when Pacheco and Hunt aren't efficient with the ball in their hands? You see the numbers dipping after the injury. They have not came back up fantasy-wise for Isiah Pacheco, efficiency-wise too. Again, good size adjust athleticism, but it looks like we're on the downturn. Kareem Hunt's an older running back prospect. We're 30 years old. We're closer to getting AARP than we are when we were a rookie. We have one RB1 week this year and an RB2 week. We're getting touches. We're getting opportunity, but we're also not the RB1. We're also not super efficient. We're just there pounding it out. We're reliable. We're good football-wise, and we're looking at this 2 yards per carry. Isiah Pacheco actually went up to 4.15, but that's not a good number still. That's not a good number. That's okay. That's not a good number. Yards created per touch, 2.61. 2.59 for Kareem Hunt. 3 for Brashard Smith. Not a good number. They're going to have to switch things up unless something changes. Something's got to have to change or something's going to change in this backfield. And if one of these running backs go down, it's Brashard Smith time. Everybody will be talking about Brashard Smith. He'll be the hot name off the waiver wire. All he needs is Kareem Hunt to go down or Pacheco. He will be the hot name. People will drop in fab. Pacheco has not been efficient. 34th among running backs in yards created. 31st in yards created per touch. Evaded tackles, 48th. Juke rate, 46. Yards per touch, 38th. He's not efficient. They're not getting it done. Eventually, they're going to get sick of it. Eventually, they're going to start switching it up. When it comes to carries, 35th among running backs. You can't keep giving them the ball when you're not efficient like that. That makes a lot of sense. You're looking at the missed tackles here. 6 for Kareem Hunt, 5 for Pacheco. He's only 10 away from the other 2 running backs when it comes to missed tackles. And that's bad. That is horrible. When you're looking at carries of 10-plus yards, 9 total between the 3 running backs. When you're looking at 15 yards or more, 2 total. So we're not far off. We're not far off here from getting a switch up because they're not getting it done. Yards after contact per attempt, Brashard Smith not great, not much of a sample, but also 2.76, 2.73. We're due for a switch up or something happening here. We're due for something. Something's got to change. Either these 2 veterans change it up or they go to the rookie or make a move because something has to change here. Route participation rate, Isiah Pacheco, 44%. Kareem Hunt, 25%. Brashard Smith, 11%. Pretty solid for an RB3. Pretty solid. 4.3 routes per game. He has 5 routes in the slot. That's up there with Hunt more than Pacheco. And Pacheco is running 16.5 routes per game. That being said, they're trying to get Brashard out there in the passing game. Rashee Rice might decrease that. But still, when you're looking at him as a gadget player, it's just a matter of time or something's going to have to change for them to start looking at Brashard Smith. But if something changes with Pacheco, if he starts running hot, then that can nuke him. If not, Brashard Smith, somewhere down the line, might get his opportunity. Also, they could trade for a running back. There's been all kinds of trade rumors. Kamara, Breece Hall, Jerome Ford. There's been a bunch of trade rumors. Pollard's been mentioned in some sort of rumor being traded. All kinds of rumors of them trying to get another running back. Because you look at those numbers, of course everybody's going to start writing up articles and shit because they need another running back. But you're looking at This schedule here doesn't matter. It's just opportunity. Snaps, routes. That is what we're watching here for Brashard Smith. You need him because you want the next Jerick McKinnon on the back end of the season. You want that for the fantasy playoffs. You want to make sure to have him early so you're watching these videos. Hit that subscribe button right now. Now is not really the time, but the time will happen this year, next year, the year after. I will have the video when to strike. You don't need him because he's Jerick McKinnon, because Jerick McKinnon had that long-ass time where he wasn't nothing. He wasn't nothing. That's why he's Jerick McKinnon, and everybody's in awe and lore of that time, because he also had all that time where he wasn't nothing. Brashard Smith going to have all that time where he wasn't nothing, and boom. That's what we're looking at. That's why we're doing the video. That's why. You're going to catch a hater down there in the comments, and they're going to be like, he didn't hit. He didn't hit. Congratulations, dude. You're in soft leagues. You're not in the deeper leagues. You need to go harder, man. You need to go harder in the paint. Some of these guys watching the channel, they go harder in the paint, and they need this type of stuff because they got to strike early because they're starting 5 wide receivers. They're in a 16-teamer. Their benches are deeper. They need to know this stuff. They need to strike earlier. So you're going to catch somebody in the comments here, and they're showing themselves that they're in softer leagues. They're pretty much going to do that. As I said before, I promised you guys I would watch the snaps and routes every other week. So guess what? It's week 7. The last video is week 5. Week 9, we back. Unless he starts getting more work this week, then we will get one for next week. But that's what's happening here with Brashard Smith. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.